Dear Carole, we're in your studio, surrounded by drawings, objects, books, beautiful carpet, and also surrounded by language, namely a language in we both are not so comfortable, English.
I am not comfortable.
Voila, that's also good to be reminded of. But mostly it reminds me of a beautiful sentence by an artist named Jimmy Durham, who was saying language is a tool of communication, like a brain, like a city. And language is not only a tool of communication, but also painting is a language and a tool of communication. Which means that today we are trying to have a conversation in relation to something in which we both believe, namely painting. And we're trying to make a conversation like a walk, wondering during the conversation what is painting for you, where it comes from, how you look at painting, what brings painting to you, and maybe to start with, which might be a logical and easy question to ask, where did your journey with painting start?
I think painting was always there. I never chose to do that, it just happened. When I remember happy times from my childhood, I see myself drawing, but it was not only the act of drawing, it was everything around it. It was the smell of the material I used, but also the feeling of the brushes and the feeling of the table where I was working. And these memories are the happiest memories from my childhood.
So does it mean that while you're working or drawing or painting, there is a kind of memory in your hand or memory in the traces you make of this kind of early moments when you started doing it?
I think it's more inconscient, because I am not really nostalgic.
No, but
I am always looking to the future, not to the past. I know the beginning of my work is connected to my childhood. When I was child, my family life was dysfunctional, and I love working in the forest. I was very close to the nature, and the working in the nature and drawing were very important for me, and still do. It's very the connection with my childhood.
But of course, there is another form of past which is very present in your work, which of course has to do with your fascination and your admiration and your, I would even say, adoration of art history. But this form of past is something which, according to me, even in the drawings behind us, is like breathing in and breathing out. Would it be possible to be a painter or an artist without any reflection on art history?
Not for me, it's not possible. Art history is part of my painting. When I was 14 or 15, I discovered my first favorite painting, and it was an amazing moment. And without this moment, I think I never chose to paint. It's through the art history that I started to paint.
And with whom was this first encounter?
It was during a school trip to London, and I discovered a painting by Renoir, and it was the first time that the painting amazed me.
Which also might bring us to the kind of antipode of Renoir. Namely, we could go from France to Italy.
Yes.
I do know that you spent some time in the beautiful city named Florence.
Yes, I did there a restoration internship in Florence, and I attended drawing seminaries in Como. And after to discover Renoir, I studied a lot about the Trecento, the Quattrocento, and La Renaissance. And I studied a lot about artists like Giotto, Duccio, and Piero della Francesca. And that was very the foundation of all of my work.
And the aspect of restoration that you bring up, when you restore, you have a certain particular look at materials.
Yes.
If I relate it to your work today, the materiality is something which is present, in the sense that the skin of a canvas, the skin of a painting, is something which has been living and which keeps on being alive, covering souvenirs and memories of the gesture and the act of painting. Maybe you could say something about this kind of very particular way of your working process.
It's difficult to speak about my process because I don't have really one. I always look to provoke me. It's the reason why I use a lot of different materials, different surface. If I know what I will do, I don't have interest for do that. I love to discover the solution during the process, and I think that is very important for me.
But at the other hand, I do feel that there are also certain fixed points. There is a fascination in your iconography with houses, still life, or also the bouquet de fleurs, flower arrangements.
Yeah.
So there is some, even if you say, okay, I never know where things might be guiding me, there are some traces which guide you.
Yes, I think the subject is a way to help me to finish the work. At special time, if I look to my painting, I see some details, and this detail help me to find a solution, and sometimes the solution is a subject like flowers or portraits of landscape. But I don't start with a subject.
Yeah, I think that's beautifully said, that the subject helps you to find
the solution.
solutions.
But it's true, because when I don't find a way to finish my work, I look through my drawing. I am looking for some details, and I put one details with another details, and I mix a lot of details, and maybe I can find a solution for my painting.
So, Carole, maybe it's nice to bring up a very beautiful, exceptional moment in the studio, which happened on December 10th, 2024. We welcomed Joëlle Leandre, Grande Dame, like an exceptional musician. She decided to come to the studio and to make new compositions, specifically for paintings selected by her, which brings us immediately in the middle of certain important subjects, namely, what is your relation with music? As when I look at your work, I hear a lot, to say it in a synesthetic way.
A great compliment for me. I see a link between music and painting. It involves rhythm and physical connection. And when I paint, I can recognize the same feeling when I listen to music, and also more improvisation music.
And how would you relate the notion of silence to painting?
But I think painting is it's a really a solitary activity like literature. I also do a link between painting and literature. Both involve slowness and silence. And I need moments when I can have a connection with the reality. And I think silence for me is a good way.
Maybe something else, a final subject to discuss. You spoke earlier about your kind of hesitation in terms of language, that you're like a bit...
it's very difficult for me,
difficult,
language,
and
yes.
that you also distrust maybe
yeah.
language in one way or another, which is comprehensible. But at the other hand, we're currently working on a kind of important and substantial monography, in which, of course, some people will write about your work.
Yes, when I meet people who is not working on the same thing like me, it gives me new opportunity to discover new things, and I think everything around me can be a good opportunity to find new solutions for my work. And when people ask me intimate questions, I am directly afraid from that, and it's why I think painting is like a shield. It protects me to the world, but also it's a key to discover new people, new experience, and new situation. This through painting, I can't take part in this world.